Good morning, friends. Back to normal. Chaliye, let's close our eyes and can you please shut the door at the back? I should have done that actually. Thanks a lot. Chaliye. Okay, so I'm getting some messages from the online students regarding yesterday's class. So yesterday we had primarily dictated what we had discussed the day before in the previous lecture, which was basically a write-up on unity in diversity. Okay, and that write-up will be shared with you online as well as offline students in the form of a handout as well today itself. So that should take care of it. After which, towards the end, perhaps for the last 5, 7, 10 minutes, we had started discussing about caste system. And that is where we had left off. All right. So continuing from there, a very, very quick recap. What all we had discussed was the caste system about. Yes, a quick pointers, what we had mentioned yesterday. Hierarchy. एक एक करके. Hierarchy, I heard privileges. Occupation. Social stratification, hierarchy, same thing. Yeah? Purity, pollution. Birth-based. Source of identity. Yeah, it is a birth-based identity. साफ बात. ठीक है? Broadly, अरे एक important चीज. Endogamy. Absolutely. What do we mean by endogamy, friends? For the uninitiated, gamy refers to the suffix gamy means marriage, like monogamy, polygamy. Gamy means marriage. Endo means within. Exo means outside, right? Like exogenous, endogenous. In science and all, you have these reactions and stuff, right? So endo means from within, exo means outside. So when you have to marry within a certain group, that is called such a marriage rule, which prescribes that you have to marry within that social group, is called endogamy. So in India, we have a system of caste endogamy, which in simple terms means that I have to marry a person of the same caste as my own. Theek? So this is what we had discussed. We had also discussed that the term caste is not there in any Indian language, but it was an import from or borrowed from the Portuguese language. So Portuguese were amongst the first Indians to land in India, first Europeans, sorry, to land in India. And when they did that, the system they encountered, they used the term caste for that. Theek? Also, I don't recall whether we had touched upon this aspect or not, but it is widely acknowledged that caste, acha, we had also said that caste is not the same as varna. Is not the same as varna, that caste is not the same as gotra. What about class? Is caste the same as class? You've heard another word in English and sociology, class. Yes or no? No. Class means what? Inequality on the basis of wealth, money. Those who have more money are upper class. Those who have lesser than them will be middle class. Those who have even lesser will be working or lower class. So class is a system of inequality or stratification or hierarchy based on the amount of money or wealth you have. Caste is not a system of inequality based on money. It is based on, it is birth based is all right, but it is a hierarchy of what? It is a hierarchy of prestige or honor in society. Or as he had rightly pointed out in the last lecture, it is a hierarchy of ritual purity. So Brahmins are above Kshatriyas or Vaishya because they are ritually purer. So it is a hierarchy of ritual purity. Clear? लिखिए. So Sandeep, Tanya, I have tried to address your doubt, which is to start with the caste system, which is what we have done now is literally started from scratch. Please now jot down about the caste system. Caste system. Caste is a system of social stratification. Caste is a system of social stratification. Which is considered as uniquely present in Indian society. Caste is a system of social stratification. Stratification here means inequality, which is considered as uniquely present in Indian society. Upper class, middle class, working class, you will find in which society? Western. Every society. दुनिया में कहीं चले जाओ, in any society, any culture, everywhere, you will find some people who have more wealth than others. Class is present universally. Yes or no? But Baniya, Brahmin, Jat, Gujar, all these you will find in which society? Only in Indian society. So caste is a system of stratification which is considered as being uniquely present in Indian society. Full stop. The word caste comes from the Portuguese word casta. Portuguese word casta meaning lineage. Lineage, हाँ बिल्कुल. Lineage means you belong to which line, literally, okay, or whom you have descended from. Okay. The word casta, comes from the Latin word castus, meaning the word casta comes from the Latin word castus, meaning pure. ठीक है. तो कास्ट सिस्टम में क्या है? हम क्या हैं? प्योर लिनिएज के हैं, शुद्ध नस्ल के हैं. है कि नहीं? किसकी होती है शुद्ध नस्ल? कास्ट सिस्टम में हम सबकी शुद्ध नस्ल है. ठीक है. दैट इज द एसेंस ऑफ द कास्ट सिस्टम. Keep writing. Different scholars do not agree upon a single definition of caste. Different scholars do not agree upon a single definition of caste. Full stop. However, some of the main features of caste, are as follows. Number one, basically I'm dictating to you what you have told me, nothing new. Ascribed status. Ascribed status, dash. What does this word mean? I'll explain, then I will dictate also. So status in society can be of two types, ascriptive and achieved. Ascribed status is that which one is assigned at birth or which one is born with. Okay? Achieved status is something that you acquire through the dint of your own effort. Are you with me? So caste is which type? Ascribed status. In other words, it is birth-based. Why am I a Baniya? When did I become a Baniya? At my birth. Did I make any effort to become a Baniya? No, I am a Baniya because I was born in a Baniya family. In contrast, my occupation, I'm a teacher. That is ascribed or achieved status. Achieved status. I was not born a teacher. Yes or no? I became a teacher with my own effort, acquiring requisite knowledge, skills, and so on and so forth. Likewise, in modern industrial Western societies, class, in other words, the amount of money you earn, is a which type status? Ascribed or achieved status? Achieved status largely. Based on, so you may be born in a poor family, in a country like the USA, but with effort, hard work, enterprise, you can become richer. Theek? So caste is an ascribed status or a birth-based identity. Right? Same thing. Likhiye. Dash. In caste society, every person's caste is determined by and at birth. Theek? Simple. Second, restrictions on mobility. Restrictions on mobility. Dash. What we mean by this, friends, mobility means what? That you can change strata. In Western industrialized countries, developed societies, which are class-based, is mobility permitted? In other words, can I change my class? If I am born middle class in America, can I become rich? If I am born poor, can I become middle class? Yes. So in class society, mobility is permitted. It's not only permitted, it is encouraged. Society provides avenues how one can become rich. So there are mechanisms put in place in society so that people can change their social strata. So how do you become rich in America? Through higher education. तो एक फैंसी कॉलेज डिग्री पाइए, उससे अमीर हो जाएंगे आप. You will get a good, well-paying job. Through entrepreneurship, you start up your own company, a new enterprise, by honing your talents and skills. Yes or no? So explore what you are good at, and if you have the quality, then you will rise up in society. So society provides mechanisms in class society, not caste. In class society, in Western developed countries, society enables and encourages mobility. In caste system, do we encourage and permit mobility? Forget encourage, do we even permit? If I want, let me read up a lot of books so that I can become a Brahmin. Can I become a Brahmin? पढ़ लिख के ज्ञानी ब्राह्मण हो सकता हूं मैं? Yes or no? No. Because I am born a Baniya, I will die a Baniya. Yes or no? So mobility is restricted, dare I say prohibited, in caste system. Not only was I born a Baniya and I will die a Baniya. In the interim, I will also live throughout my life as a Baniya. So you cannot change your caste the way you can change your class. अमीर गरीब हो सकता हूं मैं, बट बनिया से ब्राह्मण या यादव नहीं हो सकता. लिखिए लिखिए. A member of caste society, a member of caste society is not permitted to change his caste. Full stop. He is born in a particular caste. Comma, spends his entire life as a member of that caste. And dies with the same caste identity. Full stop. Caste system discourages and provides no mechanism. I repeat, the caste system discourages and provides no mechanism to acquire a new caste. Full stop. You were saying something, brother? Acha, he wants to change caste by marrying up. He's saying, can I marry up and change my caste? Can you marry up and change caste? You can't marry effectively outside your caste, and if intercaste marriages take place like they have taken place, what consequences follow, we will discuss. They do happen, okay? But that does not mean that you will rise up in caste. Not at all. You are stuck with your caste and you will die with your caste. Okay, now, so you don't have any hopes of marrying up. Okay, you can marry up in class terms. So if you're a poor boy or a poor girl, you can marry a richer boy or girl, richer girl or boy, right? but you cannot marry up in the caste system. We'll come to marriage aspect in just a bit. Last line likhiye. The only way, isi point mein, the only way to become a member of a caste group is by संस्कृताइजेशन है. तुम क्या सोच रहे हो, संस्कृताइजेशन करके ब्राह्मण हो जाओगे? See, there is reflected caste pride already. But whoever undergoes sanskritization, whatever it is, do you think they acquire a new caste? No. No. They become a sanskritized version of their own caste. Okay? So no. And what sanskritization is, we'll come to as we proceed. But no. The only way of becoming a member of a caste group is by being born in it. तो अगर आपको बनिया होने की महत्वाकांक्षा है तो आपको बनिया पैदा होना पड़ेगा. You can't marry into baniyas and become a baniya. You can't just acquire a lot of money and become a baniya, right? Or Brahmin or any other for that matter. Chaliye, next. Next point, occupation specific. Occupation specific. Specific beta, SPECIFIC, occupation specific. ठीक है? Dash. Every caste is associated with a particular occupation. Full stop. Pause writing, hear me out, and then I'll dictate again. Please appreciate, friends, the linkage between caste and occupation is very, very intimate. Is very intimate. In the sense, according to some scholars, some analysts, caste basically emerged out of occupational groups. The caste system emerged or was an outcome of different groups pursuing specific occupations. Then those morphed into or developed into castes. In fact, the fact that there is a very close linkage between caste and occupation is also reflected in the fact that many of the caste names are in fact occupational categories. Caste names are occupational categories. Are you with me? For example, if I say Sunar, Sunar is a caste. The English word for Sunar is goldsmith. So what is the occupation of the members of this caste of Sunars? What do Sunars do? Sunars do Sunari, or their occupation is goldsmithery. When I say Lohar, Lohar is another caste which the literal meaning is ironsmith. What do Lohars do? Lohari. Are you with me? If I say Badhai, then that is another caste group. What is a Badhai? Carpentry is the occupation, and the literal meaning of the word Badhai is carpenter. When I say Purohit, then that is a caste name also, that is the occupation also, that they are temple priests. Are you with me? So a lot of caste names, they reflect what? The occupation of the community. So close is the linkage between caste and occupation. So caste क्या है? Traditionally हमारी जो occupation है, वही हमारी caste है. लिखिए. What's the sentence we've written? Every caste is associated with a particular occupation. Full stop. All members of that caste all members of that caste pursue the same caste occupation. Full stop. Sons. Sons acquire the skills. Of course, I was just testing you guys. Sons acquire the skills required to perform one's caste occupation from their fathers. Zahir hai. So if I am a Badhai caste guy, how will I learn Badhainess? From my Badhai Papa. And if I am a Sunar caste person, where will I learn the skills of Sunari? From Sunar Daddy. And so on and so forth. So clearly, people acquire the skills required, the knowledge, whatever attributes for the performance of the caste occupation from the previous generations. Next. Endogamy. Endogamy. ठीक? Dash. Every member of a caste group must marry another member of the same caste. Okay? So it is prescribed that each of us marry a person from the same caste. Clear? So if my caste is Banya, can you guess the caste of my wife? She is Banya. All right. Why? Because we follow the rule of caste endogamy. Theek? How many of you think it's like outdated? And I, for one, will not be restricted in my choice of marriage partner by these outdated, outlandish kind of rules and customs. Raise your hands. I'll see you after 10 years. Married to another person, in all likelihood from the same caste. ठीक है? मैंने भी सोचा था. हाँ, brother. We will discuss. Now, his question is, can endogamy, caste endogamy survive in the modern era? Two things. What will happen in the future? Your guess is as good as mine. What I can tell you, recent surveys indicate that endogamy, caste endogamy is still very widely prevalent. Recent matlab 21st century India mein. Okay? So as on date, it has very much survived. That does not mean changes are not taking place. They are taking place. What we are discussing here, this is the caste system in its, stereotypical form in which it operated in the traditional Indian society. A lot has changed. For example, all of you are striving to become IAS. Kinki aapki caste occupation hai? Civil services? None of you perhaps. You belong to different castes. Sunar ho, Lohar ho, Badhai ho, Kumhar ho, Nai ho, Hajam ho, Baniye ho, Yadav ho. Yes or no? And you're all now pursuing a new, what we may call a caste-free occupation. Are you with me? So what we are discussing here is what caste originally seems to mean. And then we will discuss what of these elements have survived. Have some of them been wiped out completely, or have they changed? Okay? So that is that. Now, even in pre-modern India, the rule of caste endogamy was there, but it was never fully or strictly adhered to. In other words, people did marry intercaste. आप तो modern की बात कर रहे हो. Even in the pre-modern world, there were intercaste marriages. Intercaste marriages can be of two types. Look at the beauty of duality. हर चीज में two types. So I'll not be dictating, just jot down for your understanding. Okay. The two types of intercaste marriages are Anulom and Pratilom. ठीक. The English terms for these words are hypergamy and, very good, hypogamy. ठीक. What is Anulom or hypergamy? When an upper caste man marries a lower caste woman, that is Anulom. Anulom is what? Upper caste man. What's the symbol for man? Is it the cross or the gola? This is man, right? Marries lower caste woman. Am I right? Symbols? कहां पे? हेड के भी ऊपर. चलो, you get it. Okay, one sec. Upper caste man with a lower caste woman. An upper caste man marries a lower caste woman, it's called Anulom. And when the reverse happens, meaning an upper caste woman marries a lower caste man, that is Pratilom. In your answers, never write weds. It sounds more like a wedding invitation. It's like when they marry. Okay? One of these was very strictly and severely prohibited and penalized, while the other was, should I say, somewhat tolerated. Which? You tell me. Which of the two was strictly condemned and penalized by the society? Anulom or Pratilom? Pratilom or Anulom? Very good. It is Pratilom. Pratilom was strictly prohibited and penalized, while Anulom was tolerated. Why? Zahir baat hai. In a patriarchal society, exclusive sexual access to the women of the community is considered, belonging to those who are in a privileged position or the higher castes. So if a lower caste sexually accesses or marries an upper caste woman, it is considered an affront, an insult to the caste pride of the higher castes, and not the other way round. Okay? Anulom, on the other hand, indicates what? Again, patriarchy. That upper caste men can sexually access lower caste women. Clear? But the preferred or prescribed mode of marriage was what? Endogamy. You marry within your own caste. ठीक? Brother? So when intercaste marriages took place, it did result in, his question is, what happens when intercaste marriages take place? If I may paraphrase it somewhat. When intercaste marriages take place, it does lead to a proliferation of castes. For example, You know, the penalty is most severe if a Shudra man marries a Brahmin woman. Less severe if a Kshatriya man marries a Brahmin woman. You get it, right? Because Shudras are farther away in the ritual hierarchy than from the Brahmins than Kshatriyas are. So if a Shudra man marries a Brahmin woman, the children are born as Chandals. All right? As per the Manusmriti. Okay? So it does lead to that. Which means what? A degradation or a decline in social status. Children will not get the status of the father or the mother, but will be further pushed down. So a lot of such things used to take place. Next. Hierarchy. Hierarchy. Before I dictate, please appreciate, friends. How many castes are there? Thousands of castes. Thousands of castes are there throughout India. Out of these 1,000, how many are at an equal level? How many are at an equal level in society? None. None. Castes cannot be equal. Castes can only be arranged hierarchically. So every caste is either superior to or inferior in relation to another caste. ठीक है? लिखिए. Hierarchy dash. No two castes are equal. Full stop. In every part of the country, there is a highest caste, comma, a lowest caste, and several castes between them. There is a highest caste, a lowest caste, and several castes between them, each of which is one above and one below another caste. Clear? In every part of the country, you have several castes. No two castes are equal. There's a highest caste, a lowest caste, and there will be several 10, 15, 20 between them. But none of them will be at the same level as another caste. It will have one caste above it, another caste below it. Theek? And this hierarchy, it is a hierarchy of ritual purity. It is a ritual hierarchy based on purity and pollution. It is a ritual hierarchy based on the notions of purity and pollution. Like we had discussed earlier, Brahmins are purer ritually than Kshatriyas, who are ritually purer than Vaisyas, those who are ritually purer than Shudras. Theek? Next. Tell me, friends, how is it in the caste system? Can you freely mix with other members of the society? if you and I, we belong to different castes, can I put my arms around your shoulder और भाई क्या हाल है, चलो घूमने चलते हैं? Can I share my hookah with you? Yes or no? No. In other words, friends, there are very detailed restrictions on social interaction. I will have hookah with who? With my community members. Absolutely. You have your hookah with your people. All right? Likhiye. Restrictions on feeding and social intercourse. Restrictions on feeding and social intercourse. Before you write further, I'll explain what these terms mean. Basically, feeding means what? Eating together or exchange of consumables, food, water, etc. So you can't just eat with people of other communities. What you can accept from members of which community is also laid down. Are you with me? Two terms are used. Roti vyavahar and beti vyavahar. Roti vyavahar and beti vyavahar. Roti vyavahar means rules and regulations for or governing the exchange of food and water. That is roti vyavahar. Okay? Beti vyavahar matlab exchange of daughters or women. Clear? For example, when it comes to roti vyavahar, there are very elaborate systems laid down. Food is divided into two types. Absolutely. Kacha khana and pakka khana. Kacha khana kya hota hai? Kacha khana, pakka khana. Pakka khana is that which is cooked in a medium like ghee or oil. That is pakka khana. Okay? Kacha khana is that which is not cooked in a medium like ghee or oil or cooked in something like water. That is kacha khana. Are you with me? So which type of food can you take? Say you belong to a certain higher caste. Puchne to do. Which kind of food can you accept from people lower down more easily, or from further lower down people? Kacha ya pakka khana? Kacha khana, pakka khana? Pakka khana. Cooked food, cooked in a medium like ghee or oil, you can accept from further lower down castes. Why? Because the act of cooking in ghee or oil kind of removes the impurities, which may otherwise be transmitted if you accept kacha khana. Kya has rahe ho? Ye sab follow karne padenge agar if you go back. Okay? Likewise, in terms of utensils. So in certain utensils you can accept, so for example, you can accept, say, water in an earthen pot, mitti ka ghada, mitti ka wo jo hota hai, cooler, from certain castes and not from others. So बहुत सारे detailed rules and regulations हैं governing exchange of food and water. Similarly, exchange of daughters. For example, if I belong to an X caste, higher caste, and you belong to a higher caste, I belong to a lower caste. In which case, I was what? Lower caste, you are higher caste. In which case, where can you give your daughter? To your own community, not to me. Where should I be giving my daughter? In my own community. But can I also give daughter to a higher caste man? Grudgingly, somewhat theek hai. Are you with me? Likhiye. restrictions on feeding and social intercourse. Dash. There are clear and detailed guidelines which are laid down. Clear and detailed guidelines which are laid down governing the exchange of food and water, as well as for regulating social interactions. As well as for regulating social interactions between the members of caste society. Full stop. Now, what if somebody does not follow these rules and regulations? What happens? Yes, so society will take some sort of actions. It will award some sort of punishment. Likhiye. For violation of these rules and guidelines, various punishments were prescribed in varying degrees. Various punishments were prescribed in varying degrees. Okay? In other words, friends, if the offense is seemingly minor in the eyes of the society, the punishment will also be lighter. Zahir baat hai, if the crime is too big and unpardonable, then the punishment will also be proportionate. It is but obvious. For example, if a person's son shares hookah with a member of another caste, what will I do? What will that person do? Or what will the society do? You can warn the person, you can impose a fine on the person. Isolation will be too much. Okay? But if a person's daughter falls in love, worse, has sex with a person belonging to a lower caste, then worse, marries, हाँ तो हमें मारना पड़ेगा. Yes or no? So the punishment will depend on the crime. Absolutely. Next. Civil and religious. Civil and religious. Disabilities. Civil and religious disabilities and privileges. I repeat, civil and religious disabilities and privileges were associated with different sections of the society. क्या नहीं समझ आया? हाँ, it's the next point. Civil and religious disabilities and privileges were associated with different sections of the society. What does this mean, friends? Ki simply all people were not considered as equal or did not have equal set of rights, equal set of obligations, equal set of entitlements. It depended on which community you belong to. Are you with me? For example, the privilege, religious privilege क्या हो जाएगा? The right to perform yajna or impart Vedic education was confined to the Brahmins. Are you with me? और यही you had corresponding religious disprivileges imposed on the lower castes. They could not, for example, untouchable castes could not enter temples. Shudras were prohibited from even hearing the recitation of the Vedas. Are you with me? इसी तरह civil life में, civil मतलब non-religious. For example, untouchable castes were prohibited from drawing water from the village well, the common village well. Are you with me? तो इस तरीके से different या several castes they were prohibited from owning land or cattle. Other castes were permitted to own these things. ठीक है? तो civil यानी religious and non-religious disabilities and privileges were associated with different sections of the society. Clear? One student, Shruti, is making a comment. I want to see how many of you it resonates with. Okay? She's saying, I feel so ashamed that I belong to such a caste system. Is that a sentiment more of us here share? How many of you feel ashamed to belong to such a caste system? How many of you feel proud to belong to such a caste society? Others are what, like, you don't have feelings or what for the caste system? Huh? How many of you feel it is irrelevant for you? Raise your hands. That seems to be the dominant sentiment. What we are discussing is perhaps a little too, धन्यवाद भैया, too outdated or too, perhaps for the village peeps, not for educated folks like you and I. It doesn't affect our lives as much, at least in urban areas, or the kind of social background that I hail from. I'm educated, my parents are educated, and so on and so forth. We will explore to what extent the caste system affects our lives, including in urban areas today. Dhanyavad bhaiya. Guys, please don't pay any attention to the handout, just keep it. It is what was dictated regarding unity in diversity in India. Okay? So these are the main features of the caste system. How many have we written? How have you guys written different numbers of points? 6 to 8 I'm hearing. ठीक ठीक लगा लेते हैं 7. हाँ? ठीक है. There should be 7 odd points. चलिए. And guys, those who are getting the handout, it's a one pager. So just take one page and pass on the rest of it. जी? नहीं, it was because there was some disturbance in the thing, so we had to. Okay? It's not necessary. Brother? He's asking, can achieved status affect ascribed status? I will say that's a debate for later. Okay? As we proceed, as we go into the topic, surely we'll have an understanding on this issue. Okay? But just hold your horses for now. चलिए, अब एक सब हेडिंग दीजिए. एक और चीज होती है कास्ट सिस्टम से रिलेटेड, कॉल्ड दी कास्ट पंचायत. कास्ट पंचायत. Before I share my thoughts or knowledge on it, what do you guys know about caste panchayats? भैया बचिए तो दे दो ना. What do you know about caste panchayat? don't define caste panchayat for God's sake. That's my job. How many of you have come across a caste panchayat? You have? Are they still active and functional? Which part of the country? Khap panchayats in Haryana. Much, should I say, notorious and in the news for all the wrong reasons mostly. Tell me, if in your community, in your life, have you personally seen the operation of a caste panchayat? Brother? There's a Bania panchayat. I have not been invited there. In Western UP. Sunar panchayat is there in Western UP. Eastern UP. Acha. One, friends, please appreciate these caste panchayats are different from village panchayats. In your this thing, where? In your sacred book, Lakshmikant, okay, or in the Indian Constitution, we have given constitutional recognition to village panchayats, village level panchayats. Caste panchayats are different from those. Okay, जो 73rd, 74th constitutional amendments थी, they are about village panchayats and urban local bodies. Caste panchayats are different from those. These I'll dictate also, but these are caste specific, quasi-judicial kind of bodies. Are you with me? What do? They do what all panchayats or panches do. They basically ensure that things are maintained in order, disputes are settled, and so on and so forth. And these caste panchayats comprise of who? Of course, the members of the caste. तो क्या सुनार पंचायत में लोहार होंगे? Of course, it is the members of the caste. But who amongst the members of the caste? Very good. The elders of the caste. हमारी जात बिरादरी के बड़े बूढ़े, right? और जितने बूढ़े उतने बढ़िया. ठीक है, लिखिए. Every caste in the village has its own, I repeat, every caste in the village has its own caste council या caste panchayat. Full stop. It comprises of the elders of the caste. There are some questions. Let me address. Can an organization like Agarwal Samaj Seva be an example of a caste panchayat? Is it or is it not? No. You have many such caste-based organizations, even in urban areas, but they are not panchayats. They are more in the nature of modern associations. Don't call them self-help groups. Okay, it reeks of poverty, which many castes are not. In the sense, these can be considered at best as pressure groups, interest groups. Okay. And they are kind of, comprise these caste-based associations. These are modern. And these are not typically quasi-judicial. Caste panchayats in traditional Indian society were quasi-judicial. Meaning what? Look here. What's the last sentence we've written? Full stop. The caste panchayat serves to regulate the affairs of its members in the village. Full stop. The caste panchayat performs various functions such as see, when we say it manages the affairs, not as in affairs or modern sense of the term, it manages the social life of the community. That is what we mean, right? Because affairs are prohibited, of course, it goes without saying. So what does it do? It performs various functions such as settle disputes between the members of the caste. Disputes between the members of the caste. But why should there be any disputes within a community? Come on, we should be fighting with other communities, huh? Why are there, or what kind of disputes you can think of within a caste or a community? Very important, property disputes. किसके बीच में होते हैं? भाई भाई के बीच में होते हैं, चाचा भतीजा के बीच में होते हैं, all of which belong to the same caste. Yes or no? So if somebody dies without a will, or there are claims that this guy is, what's the word for it? He's trying to appropriate some land which belongs to my portion. कि वो मेरी जमीन हड़प रहा है, उसने यहाँ 6 फुट अंदर दीवार खींच ली मेरे खेत में. Are you with me? तो ये सब कौन आएगा? उसके अलावा कैसे डिस्प्यूट्स होते हैं? एक तो हो गए वेरी गुड मैरिटल डिस्प्यूट्स, कि इसके पिताजी ने बोला था इतना दहेज देंगे, नहीं दिया, ठीक है, या ही इज वायलेंट और शी इज नॉट बेयरिंग मी किड्स, नहीं सन्स. ठीक है, if she is not bearing me sons or has not given the promised dowry, right? So all these matters, the caste panchayat can play a quasi judicial रोल. फिर वो लड़की के पिता को बुलाएंगे, देखिए आपके वजह से इनके बीच में झगड़ा हो रहा है, आपने प्रॉमिस किया था दीजिए, ये 4 समाज के लोग बैठे हैं, इनके सामने आपने बोला था, एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. ठीक है, तो इस टाइप के वेरियस डिस्प्यूट सेटल करती है. The caste panchayat also ensures, friends, that the rules and regulations of the community are adhered to. ठीक है, it settles all sorts of disputes within the community. अब बाकी community से तो मिलके लड़ेंगे, ठीक है, but within the community, the caste panchayat serves intra-community disputes. Apart from that, क्या बोला मैंने अभी? हाँ, ensures that the rules and regulations of the community are adhered to. I repeat, the caste panchayat ensures that the rules and regulations of the community are adhered to. I said the caste panchayat ensures that the rules and regulations of the community are observed, particularly by who? Who has a tendency to not adhere to them? Women. Oh, misogynist. Who? Youth. बिल्कुल, ये जो गरम खून होता है ना आप लोगों में, that can lead to transgression of boundaries. थोड़ा बहुत पढ़ लिख लेते हैं शहर आके, फिर सोचते हैं इंटर कास्ट ये वो करेंगे, ठीक है, particularly by the youth. So errant youth, they have to be set right, बेटे. ठीक है. So any violation of the caste norms, लिखो ना. I repeat, I'm repeating what I had last said. Caste panchayat ensures that the rules and regulations of the community are observed, particularly by the youth. तो ये नहीं है कि बाइक पे निकल गए अलग अलग जात के लड़का लड़की, and so on and so forth. ठीक है, the caste panchayat will necessarily intervene. Full stop. Any violation of the caste norms and rules is punished. by measures like social boycott, excommunication, which does not mean communication with your ex. Okay. Social boycott means what? In Hindi, we call it, at least in North India, hukka pani band. That's more like my boy. Hukka pani band. Excommunication is जात बिरादरी से निकाल देना, बेदखल कर देना. All right? You don't need to write all these Hindi phrases. You won't be using them, but only for understanding. ठीक है? Imposing fines. Imposing fines. तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आपकी भैंस मेरे खेत में आके चरने लगी, मेरी घास, तो कम्युनिटी आप पे फाइन इंपोज करेगी, that you, so that you make good of my नुकसान. Yes or no? Of course, assuming we belong to the same caste. And of course, not different religions, beta. Right? Imposing fines or ordering community feasts. तुमने ये खराब काम किया है, अब तुम पूरे समाज को खिलाओगे, दावत दोगे. All right? It's a form of punishment because then you have to bear expenditure. Ordering community feasts. Feast matlab party. Right? Dawat. Yes. ठीक? Another important thing the caste panchayat does, friends. Likho. The caste panchayat also ensures that the monopoly of the caste, monopoly of the caste over kya? Village. Do you think the whole village belongs to a particular caste? Come on. No, never. No, sorry. Villages always have comprised conventionally also of multiple castes, which is a different matter. But no caste has exclusive right of residence in a village. All right? So the caste is that the caste maintains its monopoly, that the monopoly of the caste over its occupation, its caste occupation is maintained. The caste panchayat also ensures that the monopoly of the caste over its occupation is maintained. How? Let's say, guys, we are all Sunar, goldsmiths. And here comes this Johnny come lately, a Lohar boy, ironsmith community guy. And he says, I will now do Sunari. I will do goldsmithery. You guys are the elders of the community. You are our Sunar Panchayat. What will you do? How will you stop him? Kya? Aag laga doge? Not advisable, beta. Not in the first instance, for sure. Huh? Sorry? Warn him. So from burn to warn, it's a progress, I would say. Bitya? You will negotiate with him. So what? You like offer him goodies or something? Can you go back to your traditional occupation? Bitya? Very good. Logical. And with monopolistic and oligopolistic tendencies which are there in caste. She's saying we will cut off his supply of raw materials. Yes or no? That is how you do it. Ya fir you talk to his caste elders. So these are the what? Lohar elders. Ki bhai sahab, aap apne ladke ko sambhal lo. You know, unnecessarily is encroaching upon our occupation. and the consequences may not be good. Let us just settle it amicably and ensure that the system is maintained as it is. Then these guys will rein in, matlab the, who are you? Lohar Panchayat. They will rein in this guy who's transgressing the rules of caste society. And if all of that does not work, then we have to consider burning nahi is like too much. Peet sakte hain is more like it. Yes or no? Bashing up the guy is like, even in pre-modern beta. Then the first go-to option is not to burn the guy. Okay. So point is that the caste panchayat ensures that the monopoly over the caste occupation is maintained. In other words, that others do not encroach upon the caste occupation. ठीक? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what she implied. No? You cut off the raw material supply, labor supply, whatever. This community enjoys monopoly over the whole vendors चाहिए, कुछ suppliers चाहिए, market में credit worthiness चाहिए, जो भी चाहिए. None of that you will get. Tools and implements चाहिए, जो भी चाहिए. Are you with me? So you ensure that the business is not able to flourish or get set up properly. Right? So that is about the caste panchayat. We have time. एक और चीज डिस्कस करते हैं रिलेटेड टू द कास्ट सिस्टम कॉल्ड व्हाट नो नॉट जाति जजमानी सिस्टम जजमानी सिस्टम Have you guys heard the term Jajman or Jajmani? In what context? What do we know about it? Raise your hands and tell me. What do we know about the Jajmani system? Anything at all? Or the word Jajman? Forget sociology or history. I'm not asking you in general. Hindi mein shabd suna hai Jajman. Bitiya. The person who gives service is called Jajman. Those who are raising your hands, only tell me, is she right? Is she right? Yes or no? If you guys know, you guys are raising your hands. Jajman kaun hai? The one who receives the service, not the one who gives the service. Brother, you were raising your hand. Yeah, you? हाँ, हमारे घर में जब कुछ यज्ञ वगैरह हवन कराते हैं तो वो बोलते हैं जजमान बैठिए. That is our basic level introduction to the term jajman, right? In that context of a priest, you are who? You are availing his services. You are, if you are the householder or your father, you are receiving that service. He is giving you his priestly services and you are the recipient. Okay? So Jajmani system, I'll dictate also, but first let's understand. Jajmani kya hota tha? It was a socio-economic system of exchange of goods and services between different castes in traditional rural Indian society. Different castes. Now every caste is specialized in terms of occupation. So Lohars do what? Now, Lohars do Lohari, Sonars do Sonari, and so on and so forth. Now, in a village community, there were how many types? 2 types of caste groups. There were those who were Jajmans. Jajmans were who? Those who received services. And there were what were called Kamin castes. Kamin literally meaning काम करने वाले. Those who do the work. In other words, these guys were the providers of service. Those who provided the service. They were Kamin castes. Clear? Now, typically, our experience with the Brahmin priest is different, but typically in the rural economy, the Jajman castes were higher or lower? Higher castes. And they also typically owned vast tracts of land in the village. Common castes, on the other hand, were the lower and landless communities, what are called the service castes, those who provided their service to the Jajmans. For example, Nai or barber caste, Dhobi or washerman caste. All right? These are what? Kumhar. All these are service castes or common castes. Okay? Clear? लिखिए. Jajmani system is a system of economic, social, and ritual ties amongst different castes. In a village. Full stop. The term Jajman refers to the patron, Patron, जो पेट्रनाइज करता है उसको पेट्रन बोलेंगे. द पेट्रन और रेसिपिएंट ऑफ अ सर्विस. Full stop. Kamins were the service castes. Kamins were the service caste like barber, washerman, carpenter, potter, etc. Full stop. They matlab the Kamins provide services to the Jajmans and received from them, provided कर दो ना, past ही हो गया, provided services to the Jajmans and received from them payment in kind. Payment in kind, in brackets, and less frequently in cash. And less frequently in cash, brackets close. Typically, Jajmans were the dominant landowning castes, while the Kamins were the landless lower castes. Mandelbaum, full stop डाल के, Mandelbaum, name of a guy, points out that the Jajmani system or the Jajmani relationship operated at the level of who or what? At what level? What was the unit of that relationship? Individual. At the level of families. Mandelbaum points out that the Jajmani relationship operated at the level of families. Full stop. Pause for a bit. Stop writing. Let me just explain this briefly. Simply meaning, let us say you belong to this huge landed family, having vast tracts of land, right? And I am your barber. I am the Kamin who is providing them the services of haircuts. Why am I attached to your family? Why am I your barber? Why not the other barber? Because my father was the barber to your father, and my grandfather was the barber to your grandfather, and so on. And then after my demise, what will happen? How will my son make a living? He will be a barber to his subsequent generations. Okay, so you inherited Jajmani ties from your ancestors and you pass them down to the future or subsequent generations. Clear? Full stop. एक बात बताइए, is the Jajmani relationship one way? In other words, is it only the obligation of the service castes to provide their services to the Jajmans? Or do Jajmans also have a certain obligation towards the Kamins? What are Jajmans obligated to the Kamins for? To pay them. So are you saying it's a market-based exchange? Quite like the modern day barber whose services not I but you guys avail? Is it the same as that? No, not at all. Please appreciate, brother. Lot of things. Jajmans also had a lot of obligations towards the Kamins. For example, I don't own land. I am a poor landless barber family. But I need grains. मेरे घर में रोटी पकेगी या नहीं आएगी? कहां से आएगा अनाज? चावल, गेहूं कहां से आएगा? आप दोगे, जजमान फैमिलीज प्रोवाइड करेंगे. Are you with me? Or if there is a flood in the village, a drought in the village, any apada or untoward kind of calamitous natural calamity in the village, I need, say my house gets swept away. How will I reconstruct? I'll need resources. Who will provide me? My Jajmans will provide me. Are you with me? Or if my daughter is getting married, I have to give some dowry, some bangles and utensils. Where will I get from? From my Jajmans. So it was a mutual obligation. So in a sense, the Kamins provided their services to the Jajmans and they were in kind of, they were reciprocally taken care of by the Jajman families. Clear? एक चीज और बताइए. Was it only about material well-being? Can we say it was a system of barter? कि मेरे को बाल काटने आते, मैं बाल काट रहा हूं, आप मेरे को गेहूं दे दो, आपके पास जमीन है. Was it just that? No, it was not. It was not just a barter system. Exchanging one goods or services for another. Definitely not. Why? It had an important ritual, moral, social component. Why am I providing services to the Jajman? For my economic well-being? No. Because it is my socio-religious duty to serve his family or him. Are you with me? These ties also extended to ritual occasions. Ritual occasions. For example, you are the Jajman, I am the Kamin. If there is a daughter's marriage in your family, the Jajman's family, now you are big shots, landed people, lot of people coming from other villages to the ceremony, lot of assorted tasks need to be done. छोटे मोटे 10 काम होते हैं शादी के घर में, कौन करेगा? हम करेंगे. The Kamins, who have been serving your family since generations. Yes or no? And then your wife, you are the Jajman, she becomes pregnant. And she has to birth a son. Good. She has to birth a son. She needs the services of a midwife. Yes or no? एक दाई चाहिएगी. कौन बनेगी दाई? Don't say Kamin with a female version of it. Okay? Kamin की wife. Absolutely. है ना? तो मेरी wife midwife free करेगी. और in return क्या उसके बाद हाथ धो के चलती जाएगी? नहीं, बदले में हीरो का हार लूंगी. Yes or no? या सोने की चेन लूंगी या whatever. You're getting the idea. So the relationship was not just or purely economic. It had a ritual component, it had a moral component, a social component. So it was a very, very multi-dimensional kind of a relationship. लिखिए. I'll come to you. लिखिए. What's the last sentence you've written? ठीक है. Next para. Notably, the Jajmani relationship was much more than only its economic component. Full stop. It had important ritual and social dimensions. Full stop. During ritual occasions like marriage and childbirth, I repeat, during ritual occasions like marriage and childbirth, Kamins rendered additional services. Kamins rendered additional services to the Jajmans and received gifts apart from customary payments. Gifts apart from customary payments. Full stop. To serve the Jajman, was also regarded as a socio-religious and moral duty. of the Kamins. Full stop. On their part, the Jajmans took care of the Kamin families. I repeat, on their part, the Jajmans took care of the Kamin families attached to them. Providing grains, and any necessary support. Grains, gifts, and any necessary support. ठीक है? Full stop. Next para. The Jajmani system has been regarded as the backbone of the rural economy. Backbone of the rural economy and social order. In traditional Indian society. ठीक है? Full stop. According to William Weiser, the Jajmani system ensured cooperation and interdependence between jatis and families. Between jatis and families in the village. Full stop. क्या लिखा है? Cooperation and interdependence. The Jajmani system was based on reciprocity, and helped to meet the various needs of different communities. Full stop. The Jajmani system is very old. And provided stability, security, and continuity to the villagers. ठीक है? तो जजमानी सिस्टम में डिफरेंट कास्ट, डिफरेंट सेगमेंट्स ऑफ द रूरल पॉपुलेशन, दे वर हेल्पिंग आउट ईच अदर. Yes or no? What will Marxists say? From a Marxist perspective, from a Dalit perspective, was it this system of cooperation, interdependence, and harmony? It was a system more based on exploitation, oppression. Yes or no? Domination. भाषा पकड़ने की देर है, उसके बाद हम कुछ लिख सकते हैं. But you're absolutely right. लिखिए. However, next para type कर लो. According to scholars like Bedelman, is this color visible enough? Is it? And is it visible at the back, at the last seat? Clearly visible? ठीक है. According to scholars like Bedelman, the Jajmani system entailed, involved the domination and exploitation of the labor of the lower castes by the landowning higher castes. I repeat, it was a system of domination and exploitation of the labor of the landless lower caste by the landowning higher caste in the name of, justified in the name of moral and ritual obligation. तो नाई को बोल दिया तुम्हारा कर्तव्य है इनके बाल काटना, वो बेचारा 10 जनरेशन तक बाल ही काटता रह गया. Yes or no? ठीक है. So there are both kinds of interpretations. One view sees, like William Weiser, he sees the Jajmani system in broadly functional or positive terms, ensuring that there is cooperation, interdependence, harmony between castes. While scholars like Bedelman, they see it more as a system of exploitation and oppression. ठीक है? Brother? So the question is, like, can there be some sort of an exchange between various common castes in a Jajmani system? The answer to that is yes. So one caste which is providing services to another landed caste may seek the services of a third caste. For example, the Kumhar or the potter makes earthen pots, ghade, which may be serving various other castes. Okay? So for them, that Kumhar is the common. All right? Now tell me, friends, what is your sense? Is this system still there? Any real world insights? How many of you have seen it in operation? Which part of the country and what? Shed some light on it. Brother, हरियाणा में क्या होता है? कौन होते हैं? पॉटर, कुम्हार होते हैं, पॉटर्स होते हैं. घड़े देके जाते हैं और अनाज लेके जाते हैं. So there is exchange of pots, barbers, marriage invitations, they are still being delivered by the barber community. Huh? Interesting. Brother, कहां? बिहार में, मिथिला में. In Bihar, if you are living in an urban area, In Delhi, okay. Acha, so you are saying if you are a judgeman and you've shifted to a city for better job prospects, education, even then you are obligated to take care of the common families, like the barber community attached to your family. Till a decade ago, I have witnessed it in my own family, but not anymore now. Yes, what else, brother? In our lands and farms, landed judgmans, yeah. Which part of the country? UP. There is a lot of occupational continuity across generations. And they receive grains and fruits from fruits also. Fruits are very costly. Huh? You give fruits also. Very generous judgmans before us. कभी हमें भी खिलाइएगा. Brother. Huh. So your family has been receiving the services of a particular Brahmin for the conduct of certain rituals since generations in UP. And on Guru Purnima, you have to give dresses to the Brahmins. Bitya? Rajasthan. Where is your ghungat? My bad. Sorry for the stereotype, but it's lovely. Ji beta. Guys, let's have our attention back. Yes. You have musician tribes. So there are certain musician communities whom you guys patronize still in the 21st century. Wonderful. And this is which part of Rajasthan? Bikaner. Manihar is musician caste in Rajasthan. In Rajasthan. But you are from UP now. Talk about your respective regions. Very well. Very well. हमारे पूरे विलेज का एक ही पंडित है. उन्हें गिद्स में राइस स्वीट्स देते हैं. In Bangalore में, that's, मतलब कि you have like these what do you call urban clap kind of services now. In places like Bangalore, it still prevails. Baba has to come to the house and render his services, irrespective of the scheduled in his store. Apart from it, most of the higher ranking police officials never visit barber shop. The barber visits the house of the official. That is official ki ठाट, more than a jajmani relationship. Yes, I have seen like IPS officers in family, extended family. So they would have a lower level policeman hold the mug for them while they dip their thing for shaving. Very, very feudal in this thing. Brother, you were saying? Any sort of changes or modifications in the Jajmani system that you see? A lot of cash is now replacing the things in kind. So particularly, who is preferring it? Jajmans are preferring to pay in cash, or Kamins want cash? Kamins want cash because it offers you more flexibility. Saaf baat hai. Brother, you were saying? Jajmans are property. Jajmans are like property for Kamins. Very well. So that's a different way of putting that the Jajmani relationship is transferred family in the family line. It can lead to a dispute also. So now when I die and if I have 4 sons, right, and the Jajman has fewer sons, how do you assign the thing? Are you with me? Yes, Bitya? changes because of reservation policy. You're saying Kamins are no more engaged in the traditional occupations, all right, because they are better educated and so on, but they still receive the traditional customary payments from the judgmans. In which part of the country? Haryana. Gurgaon. Batao, Gurgaon right next door to Delhi. Huh? Very well. So yes, friends, Jajmani system it survives in parts, but it has also undergone important changes, particularly because of the spread of the market economy, the market mechanism. Simply, in a lot of places, including in many villages, services and goods are now bought and sold like any other commodity in the market. Are you with me? And what should I say, expansion and omnipresence of the market mechanism is particularly evident in urban areas. So typically, unlike this Bangalore example, typically in urban areas, most services and goods, they are obtained from the market by payment of cash, and there are no, for example, when you go to a barber in Delhi, is it because your dad used to patronize his dad and grandfather his grandfather? Not at all. In fact, you may patronize one barber today and another the next week or next month. Yes or no? So market economy ki wajah se, modern education ki wajah se, and many communities, people from across communities are discontinuing with the traditional caste occupation, right? So a lot of changes are taking place. Important point raised by two students. Please give a break. Okay? So on that note, we take a well-deserved short break. Brother.
Writing a lot of stuff, and at the end we have to rush, which happened earlier in paper one. It's just a request so that we can have.
Chaliye, please settle down, friends. So what have we discussed last is the Jajmani system. We had a fairly decently elaborate discussion on the Jajmani system. Let us continue from there onwards. One sec. Huh? ठीक है, अब एक सब हेडिंग दीजिए, कास्ट एंड वर्ण. कास्ट एंड वर्ण. What is your sense, friends? Are the two same? Definitely not. Are the two related? Definitely they are. How? What is the relationship between caste and varn? Varna nahi, varn. Varn is a superset of caste. Okay. This. Varn, you were saying, is a superset of caste. Any other inputs? What do we know? Brother? He's saying in ancient times, Varn was related to occupations and it was not birth-based. Very well. Very well. Later on, so Varn evolved into caste, is what you're suggesting. Bitya? Caste is hierarchy of Varn. Caste is dependent on Varn. Not the best way to put it, with due respect. Are all these topics a part of the overview or introduction? We have now begun with, an introduction to Indian society where we had discussed the unity in diversity. Now we are discussing the first major unit, which is the caste system. In the caste system, we are getting an overall understanding of caste. Then we will come to scholar-specific views on caste. Okay? Now, let us try to understand the meaning of these two terms and what is the relationship between them. Firstly, friends, please appreciate. Varn are total 4. There are 4 Varn and there are thousands of castes. Varn are 4 and castes are thousands. The 4 Varn are Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. These are the 4 Varn. Why the word subset or superset is not the best? Because all castes do not necessarily belong to one of the Varn. The origins of Varn Vyavastha or the Varn system can be traced to the Rig Veda, or specifically the Purush Sukta hymn in the Rig Veda. Purush Sukt matlab the hymn of creation. In the Rig Veda, according to which the Brahmins emerge from, you guys would have heard of it, from the mouth of Purush or the primal divine being. The Kshatriyas from the arms, the Vaishya from the thighs or the abdomen, and the Shudra from the feet of Purush or the primal divine supreme being. ठीक है? ये है the origin myth associated with the 4 Varn. As was rightly pointed out, the castes emerged from Varn, or let us say that, according to those who defend the Varn Vyavastha, people like most prominent name, Gandhi, Gandhi. The Varna are not hierarchical. Varna are not hierarchical. Varna are not birth-based. So Varna system simply was a division of labor. In every society, some people do some tasks, some do other tasks. Quite like that in Indian society also. We had what were Varna categories or different social groups to which different people belong. But this membership of in a Varna was not hereditary, and it did not indicate any high or low. Are you with me? Broadly, the four Varna were associated with different kinds of work. Different kinds of work. Brahmins were into performing rituals and transmission of knowledge, teaching or creating knowledge, all of that was the job of the Brahmins. Kshatriyas were engaged in defense and administration. Vaishya community was engaged in trade and commerce. And the Shudras were engaged in service. Theek? But this system was not hierarchical. In other words, it was not that, the Brahmins are superior to the Shudras. And it was not birth-based. In other words, irrespective of who your parents are, one could become a member of a different or another world. Clear? In contrast, the caste system is necessarily, definitionally hierarchical. As we have discussed, hierarchy is one of the defining features of caste. The caste system is birth-based or ascriptive, as we have already discussed. You cannot change your caste. You are born in a certain caste and you die as a member of the same caste. Okay? The Varna Vyavastha was open. The caste system is restrictive, does not allow mobility. Okay? So, basically, what many believe, that the system began as open and it was based on what? No, but on what basis was the occupation assigned in the Varna Vyavastha? On the basis of your guna. Guna or qualities or inherent traits, which on that they need not be hereditary. Are you with me? So what originally began as an open system of division of labor in society, open and non-hierarchical, it eventually over time became more and more rigid. It became more and more closed. So over a period of time, originally in the scriptures there is the Varna Vyavastha, but over time what happened? People of a community, of an occupational group, they stopped marrying outside. So it acquired the caste feature of endogamy. A feeling of high and low developed. So it acquired this thing, hierarchy. They did not allow members of other communities to encroach upon. So occupational specificity developed. Are you with me? So originally the one system was there which was open, flexible, non-hierarchical, but over time it ossified. Ossified matlab it hardened into, or it morphed into a more rigid, birth-based and restrictive system of caste. Clear? Just to give you a sense of nomenclature. So these are the four Varna: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. These are the 4 Varna categories. And within each of these Varna, there are hundreds of castes, scores of castes. Clear? But not all castes are in these 4 Varna. There are several castes which are outside of the Varna Vyavastha. They are called Avarna, or those without a Varna. They lie below the Shudra. So they are, sorry. They are called as Avarna, or without a Varna, or Ati Shudra, those below or worse than the Shudra. ठीक है? All right. Let me also share some related terminologies. The first 3 Varna, the caste belonging to the first 3 Varna, meaning Brahmin, Kshatriya, and Vaishya castes, are also referred to as Dvij castes. While Shudra and Ati Shudra are non-Dvij castes. Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya castes are Dvij. Shudra and Ati Shudra castes are non-Dvij. Meaning what? The word Dvij literally means twice born. Twice born. So Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya are considered twice born, but Shudra and Ati Shudra are once born. Once born, क्या होता है? Those, the one birth that we all have is from the womb of the mother. ठीक है? The physical birth. But these castes, they undergo a second birth, which is when they undergo the, what is called the sacred thread ceremony, or the Upanayan ceremony. Only members of these 3 Varna are allowed to acquire Vedic education. Okay? And when they do so, they undergo the sacred thread ceremony or the Upanayan ceremony. So they are called as Dvij castes. That is like a second birth, the acquisition of knowledge. ठीक? In modern parlance, these 3 castes belonging to the first 3 Varna, they are also broadly, now this is very, very broad, should I just, as a caveat, these are what are considered as general category. Now this is the official terminology used in official documents, etc. While Shudra castes broadly belong to the OBC Varna, the other backward classes. The word here is classes, not castes. Other backward classes are mostly Shudra Varna castes. And then you have what are called scheduled castes. ठीक है? Now we will discuss more on OBCs and scheduled castes as we proceed into the syllabus. But this is an overgeneralization I must again and again add. In other, said in another way, there are several what will be termed as Vaishya castes, which are in the list of OBCs. In some states, OBC list varies state to state. So a caste which is considered as OBC in some state will be regarded as general in another state. For example, Baniya. Why go outside, yeah? Okay. So Baniyas in some states are general category. But in some states like Bihar, Baniyas, certain Baniya communities are OBC. Likewise, Teli, oil presser caste, those who make oil. They are Vaishya and general in some, while OBC in some other states. Are you with me? सो ये तो ऑफिशियल या एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव कैटेगरीज है, जनरल, ओबीसी एंड शेड्यूल्ड कास्ट. क्लियर? एक और टर्म होती है सवर्ण. The first four Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra castes are termed as Savarna. In other words, those who have a Varna, those who belong to a Varna are Savarna, while those who do not belong to a Varna are Avarna. Savarna, Avarna. Anuradha is asking, so Ati Shudras are untouchables? Yes, and Shudras are not untouchables. Absolutely correct. There seems to be some general misconception that Shudras are untouchables, which is not correct. Okay? Shudras were low castes, but they were not considered ritually impure, that their touch has to be avoided. Those castes whose touch had to be avoided were termed as untouchable or avarn or ati shudra castes. All right? So this is regarding the terminology. Now tell me, friends, between caste, coming back to caste and varn, between varn and caste, which is more useful in social life? Which of the two is a more useful identity? Varna ya caste? Caste. I never say I am Vaishya. Who am I? Baniya. Varna is more of a theoretical framework, friends. The lived social reality is that of caste. Are you with me? Varna is more like a theoretical framework, while the lived social reality is of caste. If Varna is theoretical, can we do without it or can we dispense with it? क्या ही करना है थ्योरी का? समाज के लेवल पे is Varna, why do we have Varna, something called Varna? See, in a village, social groups are arranged in terms of caste ya Varna? Caste. So you will have in a typical village, say 15, 20, 25 castes. Several castes will belong to a particular Varna. Are you with me? So what matters in, say, social precedence, किसकी समाज में ज्यादा इज्जत है, will depend on your caste या वर्ण? Caste. It will depend on your caste. Clear? But what purpose does Varna serve then, if any? Yeah? I hear murmurs. Meaning? You're saying it provides a foundation to caste? वरना ठीक है, ओरिजिनल हो गया ना, अब कुछ वो है क्या? ओरिजिन लाइज इन द होरी पास्ट, thousands of years back. It is useful. लिखिए, अकॉर्डिंग टू एक ही नाम जो आपको, MN श्रीनिवास. The Varna system provides an all India framework into which thousands of castes can be fitted into. Thousands of castes can be fitted into. ठीक? सिंपली फ्रेंड्स, कास्ट क्या है? कास्ट एक लोकलाइज्ड फिनोमिना है, एक रीजनल फिनोमिना है, और वर्ण पैन इंडिया है. Are you with me? Like we had discussed during somewhere, the caste you will find in a village in Haryana, you will not find in a village in Karnataka. Yes or no? Now imagine if a Haryanavi goes to Bengaluru. So how do the natives, how do the Kannadigas treat the Haryanavi? How will you decide? He will tell you, I am Jat. And you will go, I don't know what's Jat. We have no Jat. What do I do with Jat? So I know nothing how to deal with the Jat. How will you deal with the Jat? You will ask him to which Varna you belong. And then he will share his Varna with you. And then accordingly, now you know your own Varna and you know the other guy's Varna. You will say, अच्छा आप हमसे ऊंचे हैं, तो you will bow down before him. आप हमसे नीचे हैं, you bow down before me. Are you with me? So it helps in social interaction of people belonging to different regions. Yes or no? That is how the Varna framework, though theoretical, can be of utility in social life. और ये जो Bengaluru वगैरह, you think it's only a modern day phenomena that people from different regions will come across each other. Infosys के आने के बाद ही हो रहा है क्या ये सब? Infosys के campus के बाद नहीं. People have been migrating or traveling long distances for various purposes. For example, pilgrimage. How do you interact with the other guy? In an unknown city of an unknown caste, if you know his varna, you can place him somewhere in the social hierarchy. ठीक? लिखो. Srinivas suggests that the Varna model has enabled ordinary people to assess the place of a caste in its framework throughout India. ठीक? Because castes are region specific. Varna is pan India. Lage haath. Let us also touch upon the concept of untouchability. It will take time, not untouchability. Gotra. Gotra. पता नहीं. We've discussed caste. We've discussed, not this oblique. We've discussed varna. Now what is gotra? What is gotra? How many of you know your gotra? Very good. What is it? Don't tell me your gotra ki sir hum भारद्वाज या कश्यप गोत्र के हैं. But what is gotra? Brother. Very well. Broadly having same origins. Very rough but apt. Okay? So, unlike castes, gotra are exogamous. Castes are endogamous. In other words, you have to marry within your own caste. But gotra are exogamous. In other words, you have to marry a person of a different gotra than your own. ठीक? So gotra basically is an exogamous clan. Exogamous clan. Whose members? A gotra is an exogamous clan whose members are assumed to have descended from a common ancestor. ठीक? वो होते हैं गोत्र. And as he was seeming to suggest, you know, basically the origins of the word gotra are from gau. So those who belong to the same cowshed and drank the milk of the same cows. Cow in Hinduism is sacred, mother. And those who drink the milk of the same mother, they are brother, sister. So those who were drinking the milk of the same cows, they were assumed to be brothers and sisters of each other. Therefore, marriage was prohibited. That is why you have gotra exogamy. Clear? To make matters not worse but more complicated at the very least, there is also something called subcaste. G.S. Ghurye. Very good. Who is he? Father of Indian sociology. He said that subcastes are the real castes. Subcastes are the real castes. अब ये क्या बला है भला? A caste community, friends, may be further branched out or bifurcated into smaller groups. Each of those smaller communities or subcaste will be the unit of operation. In other words, let me give you a concrete example. There is the caste Teli. Kya? Teli. Teli are oil pressers. Oil pressers meaning they make oil. Teli caste has two subcastes, Ek Bel Teli and Dau Bel Teli. Ek Bel Teli, Telis make oil. Historically, they would grind the oil seeds in a grindstone or chakki using bell. Bell bull same hota hai? Using ox. So those telis who used one ox were Ek Bel Teli. Those who used a pair were called Dau Bel Teli. तो हमें इन सबसे क्या? हमें ये कि when we say that you have to marry within your caste, that is a fundamental rule, endogamy. It operates at which level? At the level of subcaste. In other words, an Ek Bel Teli has to marry another Ek Bel Teli, cannot marry a Dau Bel Teli. If in a region there are both Ek Bel Teli and Dau Bel Teli, then are they at equal social standing? No, because there is hierarchy between them. One of them will be superior. Which one? Presumably Dau Bel Teli, because they have Dau Bells, right? So, are you with me? When we say occupational specificity, it applies at the level of subcaste. So if I am Dau Bel Teli and you are a one bell Teli, Ek Bell Teli, will I allow you to use two bells in the manufacture of oil? Absolutely not. So you must pursue your caste occupation in the particular manner in which you and your ancestors have been doing it. That is why Ghure said, friends, sub-castes are the real castes. Operational unit at the ground level is sub-caste. Are you with me? Then there are, those who criticize the whole concept of sub-castes. They say that why do you call them sub-castes then? Might as well call them castes. Ek Bell Teli and Dau Bell Teli in our example should be regarded as two separate castes. Are you with me? But this is how social life is pretty messed up. ठीक है? For example, there's a varn called Vaishya Varn. Write an example, na thoda sa. It will become a little clearer. In the Vaishya Varn, there are several castes. Some of the Vaishya Varn castes are, first and foremost, Baniya. Thank you. Mahajan, Teli, Chetiyar. Don't ask me spelling, write what you're hearing. Modh-Baniya. No, not Modh-Baniya, sorry. Cut Modh-Baniya. Right, Komati. 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 These are some of the Vaishya Varn castes. They are basically trading and mercantile communities in different parts of the country. All right. So, for example, in many, in say Haryana, UP, you will find Baniyas. In Maharashtra, you will find Mahajans. In Tamil Nadu, you will find Chetiyars. In Andhra Pradesh, you will find Komatis. ठीक है? So जो trading या mercantile communities होती हैं, various castes. So can a Baniya marry a Chetiyar? Yes or no? सोच क्या रहे हो? Emphatic no. They are a different separate caste. ठीक है? The Baniya caste has several sub-castes like Lodha, Saraf, Maheshwari, Modh-Baniya. ठीक है? Some of the Gotra amongst Baniyas are, how many Gotra do Baniyas have? Baniyas in the house? No Baniyas here? कितने गोत्र हैं? Don't know. How will you get married, बेटे? बनियों के 17.5 गोत्र होते हैं. Yes, that's how life is complicated. आधा क्या हुआ था? So all of us Baniyas, we have descended from our common ancestor Maharaja Agrasen. Maharaja Agrasen. So he had 17 proper marriages and half slightly, all right, not so proper, resulting in a half gotra. All right. Or there are several other legends also. Some of the gotra amongst Baniyas are, have you heard? Batao. Kashyap. Brahmin gotra hai wo. He's like, what do I know? Huh? Garg. My gotra is Garg gotra. Garg. Goyal. Kansal, Bansal, Jindal, Bindal, Tayal. You don't need to know all of them. 2-3 will suffice. Okay. Mangal, Dharan, the one you were asking. ठीक है, but समझ गए आप? In fact, हम बनिए ना, we are divided into another classification. You have Dasa Banyas and Bisa Banyas. We are Bisa Banyas. Bisa matlab 20 wala, you know. The Dasas are tenors, and we don't intermingle with or marry in the tenors or the Dasa Banyas. Are you with me? So, sorry? Thing, yeah. Okay. So that is about Banyas. That is about caste and Varn and Gotra. All right? Or, chalo, let's compound this with another identity, which is nowadays quite important. It is surname. ये surname क्या बला है बला? What is a surname? बताओ ना, सबका है ना? Subcaste, subcaste, सबका caste. What is a surname? You know your surname? Surname, friends, socially is not of much consequence conventionally in Indian society. It is a relatively recent development in Indian society. Decent मतलब modern era का ये obsession है with surnames. राम जी का क्या सरनेम था? कृष्ण जी का क्या सरनेम था? अर्जुन का क्या सरनेम था? या आई नो यादव्स विल क्लेम कृष्ण जी, बट कभी आपने सुना है उनकी माइथोलॉजी में, स्क्रिप्चर्स में कृष्ण यादव लिखा हुआ? हाँ, यदुवंशी बिल्कुल वो माना जाता है, बट क्या वो सरनेम यूज होता था? नहीं. ठीक है. इनफैक्ट रूलर्स भी आप देखोगे उनके में भी नहीं यूज होता था. हम वो कभी ऐसे नहीं लिखता था कि अशोक क्या था? अशोक यादव. अशोक क्या था? मौर्य था ना. हाँ, तो अशोक मौर्य लिखता था क्या? नहीं, किसी इंस्क्रिप्शन में नहीं मिलेगा. ठीक है. तो ये मॉडर्न डे है, और मॉडर्न डे भी बेसिकली ब्रिटिश एरा में शुरू हुआ. दे हैड अ सिस्टम ऑफ फैमिली नेम्स, एंड दैट वाज समवॉट इन द वेस्ट, एंड दैट इज समवॉट इम्पोज्ड इन द इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट. अब हमारे यहां सरनेम क्या होता है? इट कैन एंड ऑफन इज एन इंडिकेटर ऑफ वंस कास्ट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, द सरनेम Agarwal is used by Banyas. And you know, unlike caste and Gotra, surname can also be changed. You can't change your caste or Gotra. For example, after marriage, the surname of a woman changes. Even for men, it can change over generations. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, माई ग्रैंडफादर, मेरे दादाजी का नाम था हरचंद राय लोहारी वाला. हरचंद राय लोहारी वाला. लोहारी इज अ प्लेस इन हरियाणा फ्रॉम वेयर वी हेल, सो वी वर लोहारी वाला. माई फादर बिगैन द ट्रेंड ऑफ राइटिंग Agarwal in this particular lineage. My brother was thinking Agarwal is too mainstream. He said we should start writing Garg or something. And we could have very well done that. We did not eventually end up doing it, but we could have. Are you with me? So we are not so fixated upon it. It's not too important, this thing. But the surname can be your caste. It can also be your Gotra. Bansal, Singal, Bindal, Jindal, Sune, these are all Gotra amongst Banyas. Yeah, Bharadwaj, Kashyap, these are Gotra amongst Brahmins. It may also refer to your, it could be a historical title. Have you heard the surname Chaudhary? Chaudharys hote the, those who were in a position of a headman kind of a, in a community, in a village community. Okay? Some surnames you will find across communities. Kumar, free for all. जिसको लगाना है लगा लो. Singh, yes or no? जिसको लगाना है लगा लो. Even across religious boundaries. You have Muslim Chaudhrys and Hindu Chaudhrys. You have Hindu Patels and Muslim Patels. Ahmad Patel, Sonia Gandhi's confidant, late Ahmad Patel. Yes or no? Muslim थे पर पटेल थे. सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल हिंदू थे पर पटेल थे. So surname की कोई तवज्जो या social significance per se conventionally नहीं रही है. What matters is caste, subcaste and gotra. So my main social identity is what? My caste. I am Bania. And can you guess my wife's caste? Bania. My gotra is Garg. Can you guess my wife's gotra? Very good. It is not Garg. That is what you can guess. Any of the other 16.5? एक तो मेरा हो गया ना. ठीक है. So that is about caste, वर्ण, गोत्र, subcaste and the works. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद for your patience. Rahul, to your question, subcastes are endogamous while gotra are exogamous. That's for Rahul.